So this is the foundation. Would you like to show us around?
Hello, and once again we are back at the Blackacres of the Gambia project, and once again it's not for good reasons. But unlike most of the other stories, there may be a happy ending to the end of this one. Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, today unfortunately we have more bad news from the Blackacres of the Gambia household. We have had accusations that Rick from the Blackacres of the Gambia has told his contractors that he will change the price of his building, of his project, by $15,000, and he has told the contractors essentially, if you don't change the contract amount, then I'm going to cancel the whole contract altogether as of tomorrow. And we are talking today, so we're talking tomorrow. The local Gambian builders refused to reduce the price of the project by $15,000, or $14,679 to be exact, which is 750,000 Gambian dalasi. Now, of course, it is a lot more detailed than that, and I'm going to go into the finer details right now. First, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, click the bell notification, and we're going to get on with this. So earlier on today, I was contacted by a group of local Gambians who were concerned about what was happening at the Blackacres of the Gambia project. They sent evidence by way of voicemail and messages to suggest that their concerns were genuine. So the WhatsApp correspondence goes as following. Solomon, Rick needs a reduction of 750,000 dalasi from the balance remaining and a few minor changes in the features. This is our offer to go forward, and you have up until Friday morning at 9 a.m. or this contract is cancelled. Please clear personal belongings off the property. This is your official notice. Solomon replied, "Good evening, Rick. I received your message and I went through it, and I think it will not be favourable for me to reduce the price by 750,000 dalasi from the balance remaining to finish the project." Then Rick replies, "Notice of contract termination. Please pick up your belongings. Tomorrow they will be sitting outside of the building." So, if you know who the Blackacres of the Gambia are, I'm assuming that you do know who they are, so I'm not going to go into detail about who Rick and Cynthia and all the rest of the people are, their family there. But they had a project that they were building, and this project was going to be built on land which was not really favourable, right? I think we all know this, that it was, I think a lot of people called it marshland. It wasn't marshland, but there was a generous amount of water in the soil, especially when you dug down to lay the foundations. Now the foundations are of course the most important part of the project. Without those foundations, everything else comes falling down after the building is built. So the foundations had to be built in a way which would not only support the building, but that wouldn't make the building sink years and years and years after it had been erected. So the foundations had to be built in a way which specifically was for buildings built on swampland. They built it in that way, and after seeing the video, I must say they did a remarkable job. It looked pinpoint perfect, and even Rick himself had said on his Patreon that the foundations, which were completed only a few days ago, that those foundations were brilliant and that he was very happy with them.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to show you the foundation all around, how we have finished it. And
this video was taken by the contractor who goes by the name of Solomon. Now, many of you may be asking, well, how am I qualified to make any observations on this groundwork? Well, I used to work as a building surveyor many years ago. I am fully trained. I used to work for the British Royal Army in Northern Ireland at the army base at Londonderry, or Derry for you Catholics.
It's clearly finished.
Now it's impossible to see whether a great job has been done by just looking at the foundations. But the fact that both Cynthia and Rick cannot pick fault with the technical aspects of the job tells me that they are perhaps not looking at the job in a serious way. So all I can say from here is great job, great work. Typically great West African craftsmanship. At that time, Cynthia was still in the United States of America. You have to remember the way not just contractors but also their clients are sometimes. Once they've signed that contract, they tend to be very picky, don't they? They want everything done exactly the way they view it. Sometimes it can go against the plans that they have already certified and stamped, okay? So even after that, Rick's had problems with the way the building was being built, and it was just the foundations. This is the way it normally goes. This is not abnormal to have these types of small problems that the contractors work their way through. But it seems as though these problems were almost manufactured, because we can see that the foundations of that building, you can see in the video, they've been raised by 1 meter, okay, and that's done purposefully. You can only do that for there can be a multitude of reasons, but the main reason is because you want to make sure that the groundwater does not go inside the building foundations. Okay, so it's as if they've built foundations for the foundations. This has been done. It looks good, it looks clean, and it is to the exact dimension specifications in the paperwork. This is a hand-drawn spec of the actual building, and it shows us that Bags, or Rick I should say, knew about the building dimensions. This brings us to another question. Did Rick's plan all along to get rid of the contractor right from the very get-go? We all know that Gambians are some of the most intelligent people on this planet, right? We know this already. So what's happened? Okay, what has happened is that now the foundations have been totally completed, ready for use, ready to build the building on top of it, right? And it was done in a special way, which of course was more expensive. We saw this on Bag's older videos. The foundations were going to be more expensive than what they had first thought because of the groundwater. Now that the foundations have been complete, he said that the foundations themselves, the size of the foundations and the size of the building did not match what he wanted. Okay, he said that it looked too small, smaller than what he had thought it was going to be, which doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if it looks small. What matters is that it fits those dimensions. You cannot change those dimensions. You cannot do that, right? So they didn't do that, because if you change the dimensions and you're a builder, then guess what's going to happen? The person who you're building for is going to complain, and guess what's going to happen? They're going to start asking for money off. So people who build foundations are not stupid. They make them to the exact specifications that has been required by law and been required by the person who is their client. It seems as though Ricks, after viewing the foundation, said, hey, too small, we don't like this. We're going to have to change the whole building now. And he started looking for excuses to reduce the overall price of the building. 750,000 Gambian Delasi. He asked for a reduction of the overall building price. 750,000 Delasi, which is $14,600. So Ricks requested for this amount to be taken off the overall price of the building after this special contractor who had built these foundations on this land, right, only after he had completed the foundations. After Ricks had made this request for this $14,600 to be taken off the price of the final building, the Gambian contractor refused it, and rightly so. So after had made that refusal, sent the refusal off to Ricks, Ricks automatically sent back a message asking for that contract to be terminated immediately. He said, actually, he didn't ask, he said that the contract was going to be terminated immediately, and that this gentleman and the builders had to come and collect all of their property immediately. Reluctantly, the builders went back to collect their belongings, and was met by a lot of nitpicking coming from the Baggs family, Ricks and both Cynthia. The contractor felt a little down. He's actually very unhappy with the situation because he feels like he's been used. He feels like he's been used by the Bagg family, right? Because the foundations have been completed and within specifications. And it seems as though, and I don't like making these accusations until I find hard evidence, but I don't see any evidence to prove that what I'm about to say is wrong. It seems as though they have essentially used any type of excuse to cancel the contract with these local Gambian builders, right, who don't have that much in the first place. They stopped all their work in the first place to work specifically on this large project, okay? And now it's all been in vain, because now Rick has cancelled this project, has cancelled this contract with these contractors for no viable reason. The contractor went back to his WhatsApp group, and well, you're going to see a lot of local Gambians are extremely angry with what has happened. One of these scathing messages reads, "It's a shameful thing on the part of the Baggs family, which I thought was there to support the black race. They forget, no one man's conditions can rise above his own people. But Solomon, God has a greater plan for you. You have proven your handiwork. My regards." Another scathing message reads, "Well, brother Solomon did exactly that in peace. These people wanted war. You cannot rationalize with hood rats like that. Number one, they demonstrate dog-eat-dog mentality. Number two, their vibe is fake and they don't care about Gambians. They show what and why they are in Africa, to escape and to get over on whoever allows it. That is why they can't keep honest workers with the backbone. It's sad to see them treat their own like the Mzungus. This is why black people act like our colonizers towards their own. Rick and Cynthia are black slave masters to their own people in need, all the while posing like they care. That's why they can't keep honest workers. That's why they ran to Africa like every other Mzungu, to take advantage of the kind people. There is a place in hell for those that hurt the Most High's people. Stay strong, Solomon, and your craft and honesty will carry you, brother." So as you can see, many of the local Gambians are not happy with Rick. They are starting to see him as a prima donna, somebody with an overinflated infatuation with himself and perhaps a above par view of his own abilities and capabilities of a site manager. Now, I'm not making this video to get down at the blackacres of the Gambia. It's simply to advise people about how difficult it can be to build a house in the Gambia. It's not easy. It's not easy for anyone, especially not for the builders who have to deal with clients who have questionable histories. Both Rick and Cynthia have been very open about their backgrounds, especially Cynthia only a week ago, where she made a very moving video about her past back in the United States. And regardless of whether you feel sympathy for her or not, you have to look at it at a pragmatic viewpoint and say to yourself, these problems are real, they are tangible. So what types of effects are they having on these people? One thing is for certain, we are now seeing a group of locals who are now seeing these diasporans, these repats, these returning diasporans coming back and taking advantage of them the same way the Europeans and everybody else was. They don't see any difference. And this is really sad, because there should be a clear, defined difference between us and between them. But if we treat the locals the exact same way as all the other foreigners do, then maybe we deserve that label that they give us. It's almost as if he enjoys firing people. He enjoys that power. So some people have started to ask questions. They started to ask whether the blackacres of the Gambia family, whether they actually have the money to pay in the first place. Regardless, tomorrow everything is supposed to draw to an end, right? And the time now here, Central European time in Zurich, is 9:33, and I am hoping that between now and between tomorrow something can be resolved, because at the end of the day, the number one people who I'm focusing on now are the locals, because those are the ones who are in most of need out of this situation, right? We as diasporans, we may not be in the same position as they are. A lot of us are still in the diaspora. We're sending money to our diasporan brothers and sisters who are over in the Gambia and in Ghana, living their dreams, building their houses and giving jobs to these locals. And we want to see it continue that way. However, it's going to make life so much harder for people like us who are now going to be going over to the Gambia to start our dreams, going over to Ghana to start our dreams. Right? It's going to make life much harder for us, because people are going to expect larger deposits. People are going to expect payment more regularly. People are not going to trust us. People are not going to trust us. People will start to trust the Chinese and the Lebanese more. Why is that? Because the Chinese and the Lebanese, most of them already have property and land in the Gambia and in Ghana already. So the local builders are going to see those people as more of a viable option. Because if anything goes wrong, right, they have people who have tangible assets, right? Tangible assets in the Gambia and in Ghana or wherever they are. They have tangible assets there already that they can rely on, okay? That they can use as collateral if something happens. The blackacres of the Gambia don't have anything like that. They are living off you guys, us in the diaspora. And I'm pleading with you guys to please speak to them and try and get to some amicable situation where work can continue, and that we can perhaps repair their own already slightly damaged reputation. The Gambia is a tiny tiny country, and these rumors can spread really quickly, and I can only see it as being a lot more and more difficult for the blackacres of the Gambia to continue the work that they are doing, because they can't do it themselves. They'll have to go to another contractor, and contractors do not work for free. Okay, they don't do this work for free. They expect to get paid. But now, instead of getting paid at the end of that contract agreement, things are going to change. Things are going to start. People are going to start asking for payment up front, or they are going to start asking for some form of collateral, tangible asset of some kind of another. It's a sad situation, and I'm hoping that it can be resolved by tomorrow. But you know, it's going to take us all, and it's going to take us all as grown-ups, okay? Because we're adults here, right? We are adults. It's going to take us all to communicate in a way where we can see a good outcome for everybody. Like I said, this was not to attack anybody. I'm hoping that the blackacres of the Gambia, that the fans watch this and understand what is going on now, because we don't want this. We don't want this for us either, okay? So I'm going to leave it there. Guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to my Patreon members. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you to the guys who've been sending money and supporting me on my PayPal. I'm going to put your name in the list, okay? Thank you very much for everything. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you tomorrow in the next one. Tomorrow I'll be carrying on with the normal scheduled programming, okay? So we're going back to Billy Carson, back to the United States, back to Florida, okay? And back to that list from the Wayward Renegade Witch. So thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, please think twice. Ta-ra a bit.